Good day, I'm Rufus Rendall live from London, and you're watching the ultra-conservative Global News Network. Floods are raging across East Africa, leaving millions of people homeless. Of course, the major concern is the impact on the global coffee industry. Will you still be getting your morning latte? Schweinsteiger Industries is now the wealthiest toy company in the world, thanks to record sales of their Doof pulverizer, the toy gun that has taken the world by storm. We are joined now live from Munich by Gottlieb Schweinsteiger, the CEO and founder of Schweinsteiger Enterprises, the manufacturer of the Doof pulverizer. Mr. Schweinsteiger, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on such a major achievement. Your Doof pulverizer, the biggest selling toy in the world. How do you feel?
Thank you, Rufus. I started and envisioned this company 40 years ago, and to see the tremendous success that we are enjoying today is greatly cathartic for me as an individual and for us as a family at the Schweinsteiger name.
Mr. Schweinsteiger, I just find it so exciting and inspiring. You know, I walk into a toy store and there's the biggest section. The biggest section in the toy store is the gun section, the toy gun section, and there's the Doof pulverizer and all those varieties. I mean, you've got the one like the gangster gun from the 1920s, that one, the round load that you put up. You've got one that is big, like a Browning. You've got the smaller ones, you've got the hand ones, you've got the rifles, and you've got all those different size bullets. You know, I love toy guns because I grew up with guns. You know,
I just want to correct you there, Rufus. We don't call it a gun. It's not a toy gun. We call it a pulverizer. As you said, it's called the Doof pulverizer. And that is what it is. It's not a gun. We don't call it a gun. It's not what we call it.
I understand that, Mr. Schweinsteiger. You don't like to call it a toy gun. You know, I understand there's legal reasons, you know, in this very liberal world. So you call it a pulverizer instead. There's no mention of a gun on your box. Fine, you know, but I'll tell you, as a person who's owned guns or had guns when back where I grew up, is that it cocks like a gun. It loads like a gun. It shoots like a gun. That doesn't shoot bullets, you know. It shoots those toy bullets.
Again, Rufus, I don't want to cut you off at the moment, but it's just important to point out we don't call it a bullet. We call it a sponge projectile. It's a sponge projectile. That's what we call it. We call it a sponge projectile that we are selling these toys. That it is.
Yes, I understand legally, and because of this very liberal, airy-fairy world we live in, you can't say it's a bullet, you say it's a sponge projectile, and that, but I call it a bullet. Okay, so just bear with me here. Let me tell you something, Mr. Schweinsteiger. I grew up in South Africa. I moved to the UK about 20 years ago, and where we grew up in South Africa, you know, my father lived in the city, but we also had a property in the country, or the veld, as we called it back in South Africa. And I remember going out with my father, and we were riding in the bucky, or the pickup truck, as people call it. And in the distance, we saw a deer, an impala, say about 750 meters away from me. Very dangerous deer, because if it kicked you, you'd die. But about 500 meters away, 750 meters away, and I pulled out my rifle, which my father had given me on my 10th birthday, don't tell the government. And I aimed it with the sight, and the deer was like right there. Quite a cute deer. And then I shot, and I saw the bullet go through that deer's little head. I saw the red mist come out on the other side of its head. And then my father put us all in the bucky, and we drove 750 meters to where the impala had been from me. Because, you know, it's very dangerous. They can kick you, you know, and things like that. I got there, the impala was still slightly alive. And I pulled out my knife. My father said, no, forget the knife. He gave me his 9mm. And he said, Rufus, go ahead. And I remember emptying the bullets of that 9mm into that impala. And I never felt more like a man in my life as I did that day. I've never felt more like a man that day. And I remember him saying, you're now a man, son. I still remember loading the impala. It was quite heavy. Onto my young shoulders, my young 10-year-old shoulders. And walking about 2.5 meters to the bucky, the pickup truck, and throwing it in the back of the pickup truck. And I took my finger, I put it in the blood of the impala, and I took it out and I put the blood like this. That's the day I became a man. And I think every young boy should experience that, or else they become deviant. In a way that us conservative people don't like boys to become deviant. They start listening to Barbara Streisand or watching Cats the musical over and over and over again, which is not a good thing. I mean, I just see so much nowadays with these male chefs, boys wanting to bake and boys wanting to sew and boys wanting to do flower arranging, boys wanting to do ballet and drama and drawing and things like that. I just don't think boys are being boys. Boys are meant to be out climbing trees. Boys are meant to be out throwing stones. Boys are meant to be out, electrocuting ants with their mother's stun gun, which I did in South Africa, by the way. But that's what boys are meant to do. If I see another boy on some cooking channel, I am going to lose it and go completely mad. And I don't know what I will do, but it's not what we were meant to do. We're not built like that. We were born to hunt and protect the herd. That's what we're meant to do. And we're not doing that. We're not fulfilling our job, our role as males, And boys owning guns gets us back to that. So yes, thank you for everything you've done for the global gun community. I mean, when I do move to the United States, which I've applied for to emigrate, and that would have been easier if somebody else was elected last year November, but it's a bit more difficult now. But when my sons are 18 or as young as they can get a gun, I'm going to buy them a gun. And because of your doof pulverizer, they know how to cock the gun. They know how to load the gun. They know how to aim it at a person or a group of people and to fire. And it's all thanks to your toy gun that they can be able to use a real gun. When they do get their real guns. I mean, I can't wait to move to the United States. I think the first thing I do when I arrive in the United States, I'm buying myself an RPG-7 rocket launcher. I'm buying myself a semi-automatic weapon. I'm going to save up to buy more semi-automatic weapons because one never knows when the Chinese are going to invade. And they're going to invade, Mr. Schweinsteiger. They're going to invade. And if not the Chinese, the Mexicans are likely to come over that wall and take back those regions that the Americans took from them with the gun. So we as Americans, what I will be in about 5 years' time, need to protect ourselves and our land. And what happens if the zombie apocalypse happens and the zombies rise up and start threatening the living? You need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. Thank you, Mr. Schweinsteiger, for joining us. Keep up the great, crucial, important work that you are doing in teaching our men, young boys, to be men.
Thank you. I think.
Up next, a favourite for most of our conservative viewers, we can't wait after the break, Labrador puppies.